All right, let me drop this really quickly. All right, everybody see the YouTube link is there, all right? All right,
Yep.
perfect. We are on. Um, so first off, I hope everybody has had an amazing week this past week. How was you guys' week?
It was green.
Okay, perfect. Um,
Bless God. Good week.
good. Good trading week, not just a good week, but a good trading week also. Everybody, my traders, yes. Debbie's shaking her head, yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine was up and down, but overall good.
Okay. I don't
We
like
under
the
pressure.
down. I like the consistent good, the consistent, yes, the consistent wins. Okay. Dara said GJ and GU did good too. Yep, it did. Okay, so first off, let's start the call like this. I do want to say, because there's a couple other people getting scammed. I feel like I shouldn't even have to say it anymore at this point, but this is my only platform, you guys. So if anybody reaches out to you, it's not me. Anybody DMs you on WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, Instagram, it's not me. I just want to start that with a a disclosure. And let's go ahead and hop into the markets. I am going to kind of go over our fib structure that we kind of went over last week. I know we cut the call short because it was Father's Day weekend, and then we're going to go over a trade that I was looking at, a trade setup that I was looking at. The first half already played out because the market gapped down today. There is a lot going on with the markets. Everybody knows Trump bombed Iran. So let's go ahead and actually, I'm gonna show you guys. Let me find this article because I was looking at this article last week and it just is in alignment with the actual market today. So let me find that and then let's also go over. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen. Uh, all right, I was reading a comment. Sorry, I had a couple screens open. But all right, so oh, I'm gonna hide this for a second. I had went over like a long-term play of what I was looking at for GU, but I'm gonna hide this for a second and we'll take this step by step. So I had GU selling. When I did my markup, I had the first part of GU for a sell, strictly because this past week, well, I'll show you guys here. I'm gonna delete these fibs so that it makes more sense. Let me hide this and then I'll hide another fib retracement here. Okay, so I had GU going into a sell. We had divergence right here, but then we had, well, this was a little more thick. I think I had adjusted this when I was analyzing today. But this hit this zone, broke and retested, and I had this pushing back down to here. Now, when the market opened, it literally gapped down. So that's already played out, all right? But that was the first move. So I had a bars pattern um like this for this. Now we have to wait on that net structure, okay? Now I'm gonna show you guys what I'm looking at long term because if this does what I need it to do, then it's very in alignment with what my overall bars pattern is doing for major structure. However, I want to disclaim the overall move by saying that in trading, you have to take this stuff step by step. I know you guys have heard me say that before, but it's so important, especially in today's climate and especially in today's market, especially with what's going on. Like, you can have a news event that literally shifts the market immediately. Now, as we know, if you understand structure, it is just in alignment with structure, right? But the thing is, before an overall move happens, there can be a lot of volatility within that. And we want to make sure that we are, remember, trading is just like boxing. Keep your hands up and fire when you have an opening. You want to make sure that you are extracting money without your money being taken. Okay, everybody on the same page? So, in understanding these step-by-step moves, like let's kind of look at where we were last week, and then I'll kind of wind it into where we are now. And then we'll also talk about Trump in a second. So I think we talked about, I don't really even think we went straight into trades last week. I think we were talking more about the fib structures because there were a couple questions that we had on the previous calls in regards to price movement when it comes to like minor structure forming a higher time frame structure, and then like our minor trend lines breaking before our overall trend line breaking, so that you could take advantage of minor moves before the overall move happens. Okay, so some of these are clear examples of that. Even looking at like these trend line structures here, and then also understanding that like you are using multiple confluences to line up to give you the reason as to why you are getting in a trade. If you don't have multiple confluences lined up, you should not be taking that position. So everybody good on that?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So this divergence right here, point A, point B, price hit -27. This was like a beautiful sales structure. Then ultimately we had, I think last Sunday we were somewhere in here, to where we started to form a trend line coming from the top, which is why what I'm going to go over today is very in alignment with this. But ultimately you're just following, like when you're in these consolidating areas, you're following your structure. Okay. You're not jumping the gun. So that's why I'm giving the disclaimer on the higher time frame structure that I'm going to share with you guys for what I see price happening. But you're not jumping the gun and just getting into anything until you have confirmation for it. So everybody raise your right hand and say, I agree. I
I
I
agree.
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 I agree.
I
Okay.
agree.
Hand raised.
So
Agree.
all
I
right.
agree.
So what I was looking at, I had two fib structures that I drew on here. Now, before we analyze this, it's very important to see what our past price was doing to go into like basically our current price. You guys know we always do top-down analysis. So you start from your higher time frame and then you go, 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 go. So you start from monthly, weekly, daily, all of that should already be drawn on your charts. Then you go into your actual day trading time frames, which you have your 4 hour, 1 hour, 30 minute, 15, so forth and so on. Okay. Typically my entries are comprised of my 15-minute chart. I never enter off the 1 hour or 4 hour because it's like jumping out of an airplane with no exact landing. So when I'm looking at my overall time frame, I'm just seeing like what are my higher time frame zones. So even like this zone coming from the top up here, I think I deleted it, but I had it on here at one point. So you have like what are my supply and demand zone areas? So you have resistance all in here. Every time we had a point going to this point, we either had some sort of support, some sort of resistance be maintained. So we have resistance, resistance, support, 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 resistance, so forth and so on, up until the point where we break its structure and then go to that net zone, and that continues on. Now, in that, you also have minor time frame, minor supply and demand zones through this. So I have this purple zone out here. I just always keep like mental notes of where, like, okay, where are my higher areas? But you see, even this zone in the past, we pull it forward, it respected support, support. Now it's resistance, resistance. And then here, we can carry that back through to here. Now, what I'm looking at with GU, the thing about GU, this first part already played out and it's sitting on this zone. So until I have a break now, my hands are still. But what I mean by taking it step by step, this was one trade. Okay, this one trade right here, 116 pips. Now, I had already hit my trading what's it called? Trading
Oh,
yeah,
Goal.
I had hit my goal before this happened on Friday, and it sucks that the market gapped down because this sale was the first trade that I was going to give you guys for tonight. However, it's okay. Now, every next move is just another move for our opportunity. So now that we're in this zone, this is two critical things that we have to pay attention to before we discern our next move. So the first thing is if we have a break and a retest of this zone. So long term, I have GU dropping for this higher time frame fib that you see here. All right. Here, this going down to this negative 27. And then later on, that will end up being a, let's, hold on. I like to look at you guys' faces when I teach, but then our faces be in the way, so I just be having to adjust a few things. Okay, so this trend line coming from below that's over here. All right. So once price hits this negative 27, then this would be like a trend line area here. So keep that in mind. All right. Now, we all know that there's a structure inside of a structure before an overall structure, right? So because this gap down, this was again was my first move was just the sell to this supply and demand zone. At this zone, we have to be patient and see is price going to give us a break and a retest of this zone and go like this, do something like this, and if so, then we'll just come straight to our thing faster than we expect, right? However, when I was analyzing, I also looked at this minor structure that's inside of here. That, where is that fib? I'm gonna hide this fib for a second and then put my other fib back on. This was a smaller fib first. Y'all see this? Do y'all see this fib that I just drew on here?
Yes, we see it.
yes.
Okay, so that would mean, and this is all dependent. We will know this move based off of what happens, like literally tonight going into the morning. Because if that does that, then we might have some consolidation around here, push into this area, this consolidating, because remember, this is a zone also. Um, Basically to this negative 27. Once it hits this negative 27, remember that when you have surrounding areas, price could possibly push a little bit further than that area. So be cognitive of this one foundation area that's right here. So where I just drew that red line, that's a foundation level, but also this trend line coming from the top that's right here. Okay. So when you're analyzing, you're literally just looking at everything that's around. Okay. So I had this bars pattern on here and uh it was, hold on. Okay, first off, is everybody with me? Or is anybody
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, I'm following
With you.
along.
confused with me?
with you, but I have questions.
Okay. Well, hold on the questions. Let me just finish this thought because I feel like sometimes the questions be so like I be going too deep and analyzing the questions that I never get out the analysis. So let me just finish this real quick. Okay, so this again is a long-term play of what I'm looking at price potentially doing. And it's a heavy potential based off of interest rate. It's a lot of stuff, okay? So this first sale already played out. The next thing is if price is going to push up to this negative 27 slash trend line up here, and then I have it dropping back down here. Now, again, this could also, if this does not play out in regards to the pushing all the way up here before the drop, this could just break and retest this zone and then drop down to this negative 27. Everybody with me?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
I'm going to put this, hold on. I'm going to which ones were these? I'm going to do that for a second so I can run over and show you guys the structure on the DXY. So, hmm, DXY is the dollar index for anybody that doesn't know, but this is the current structure that's on the DXY. Now, point A to point B, price pulled back to 23.6, then came to this negative 27. It's still sitting on this negative 27. My hesitation is you guys know when price pulls back to the 23.6, it's a continuation. However, I have a strong that negative 20 that the DXY is or the dollar is going to get stronger this week. Not just because of technicals, but also fundamentals. But when we look at technicals, actually, I'm gonna go to a different broker for so that this is clear for everybody. Um, where price is on the DXY, let me use a horizontal line. Where price is on the DXY is a lot of consolidation through here. So when I say put your hands up, fire when you gotta open it, you have to pay attention to this step by step this week. Okay. All right. When you have high news events and when you have like a lot of stuff going on in the market, um it is best to take it step by step opposed to committing to a full out bias because anything could change at any given time. Now, we're still respecting structure. Price is just moving faster than what we need it to, but you still got to take it step by step, okay? Right hand up, I do. I will.
I will.
Okay. All
Step
right.
by step.
Wow.
This was the article that I was looking at last week, and then I'm gonna get to questions, I promise. Um, okay, so last week, boom, boom, boom. Trump has reportedly approved a plan to bomb Iran, but not given a green light. We all know he already bombed it. But it talked about the main issue for investors is what the Iran conflict might do to the price of oil and how that will affect the strength of the dollar. That in turn will likely influence the U.S. Federal Reserve future decisions on whether or not to cut interest rates. Trump, of course, wants Fed Chair Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. He insulted Powell earlier this morning on Truth Social to underline that point. Talked about how he is a dummy who's cost America billions. Okay, so one possible outcome is that if Trump decides to bomb Iran and the conflict produces a prolonged disruption to the supply of oil, that might strengthen the dollar while damaging the global economy. Oil markets are settled in dollars, and rising oil prices would thus trigger greater demand for U.S. currency. Those two factors, economic weakness but dollar strength, could push the Fed to make the interest rate cuts that Trump wants. Pause that. Fundamentals aligning with technicals. Okay, so I am expecting strength on the dollar. I was already expecting strength on the dollar before I even read that article just by looking at current structure. However, again, it's very important to understand still like based off our fib structure, and then we have like this divergence starting to form. But remember, divergence can keep diverging as long as it wants to. So that's why when I say this is starting to form on a higher time frame though. So divergence can continue to diverge as long as it wants to. But looking at this, whether I draw a fib from this point to here, this still has never reached this negative 27 right here. But also when I draw it on the smaller where we already were on our smaller, come on, why? Hold on. Why is it not letting me drop down? Wait. What is happening? Why is it not letting me drop down on my, okay, let me go to my other, uh, hope I'm not going too fast today. Okay, here we are. So point A, point B, all I did was keep pushing this down because remember, when we don't pull back past the 23.6, we just keep extending it. So when we had this level of support here, price pushed up, never hit a 23.6, extended down. We hit a 23.6, came to this negative 27, pushed back up, and then we're still in this area. So there's no need to adjust the fib on this smaller move that's down here. However, again, this on a higher time frame is creating divergence, but price can continue diverging as long as it wants to. I had a first trend line that was here. As you guys see, price literally just broke and slashed through all of that. So then I drew another one right here. based off of price, it seems to be breaking and retesting. But again, as I showed you on that other chart or on the other broker for the DXY, there's a lot of consolidation in that area. So this is an area that you have to watch heavily. This is just a dollar only though. So when we look at it in comparison to GU, again, I am looking for a overall sell on GU, which correlates with the overall buy on DXY. But again, this can diverge as long as it wants to, which would make sense for that uh, part of um what am I talking about? This will make sense for that part of where I have that first option or that second option on GU, depending on the respecting of the zone. Make sense? I know that was a lot. I just wanted to make sure I got it all out before we continued a lot today. Because when we get to like the teaching parts and then the questions and stuff like that, I don't be giving out the analysis because time just be flying so fast. And then I'll be like, dang. So I just want to make sure I did that first. We here? Y'all here? Y'all
Yes.
with?
You too. Yes.
Did it make sense?
Yes.
Very much so.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Amazing.
So whoever said yes, it makes sense, but they had questions, let me go back to you first. So what was the question that you had?
Hey Jess, that was me. So coming back to GU, I don't know if it's me don't not getting right with the drawing, but it seems like to me there's already like right now break and retest from like a bigger time frame. Um, you know how you always say if there's a bigger break and retest, then there's always a smaller one to take advantage of. So the small one already happened, I believe on Thursday, the 19th, and right now it looks like it's the bigger one, but and from you, it looks like you're saying it's gonna go down. So I'm kind of confused by that. So how I'm looking at it, it's like right now there is a retest on the bigger time frame all the way up to the zone. Um, and I
The
kind of took it
retest
up
to this
there.
zone up here.
Let me see. Yes, yes, yes. Up here, I didn't took it to the minus 27, but it looks like there's a buy like literally right now because of also if you go to the 1 hour, it looks like there's divergence and in that smaller, very small, it looks like a small break and retest like where you did on the, like I said, on the 17. So I'm kind of confused when you said that it's gonna go down from here because to me it really looks like a retest already.
When did I say it was going to go down from here right here?
No, when you explained it before,
Yeah, so I
that
gave
there's this
two
possibility.
options. I gave
Yeah.
two options for a reason. I didn't say it was going to go down. I didn't say it was going to go up. I told you guys that you have to pay attention right here to be able to determine this. The only thing that's going to help me analyze or determine that is if I get a I would draw something like this on here and see if this is going to break and retest to continue to go up here. But I have both fib structures on there because where I am right now, I cannot, me trading my chart, I would not hop in a trade right here based off of how I trade. So this is sitting in this zone for me. Now, based off of right here, this trend line right here, this is a trend line break, but this level right here is heavy consolidation. So we could very well push off of this, which is why I had that as an option. We could very well push off of this and push up here, but I need another confirmation first before I am holding on to that. Does that make sense? And the reason I need another confirmation first is because I have too much, like, I have too much going on right here. Does that make sense? So, right, like, again, based off of, did I delete it or did I hide it? So here, my
Yeah, yeah,
first
that's what I
trade,
see. Okay.
so yeah, that's what I see too. That's why I got it. But my first trade was a sell to this zone. It's already
Mhm.
reached the zone. I didn't have anything beyond that because I need confirmation before I make my next step. So when I say
Okay.
you have to trade it step by step, that shouldn't be confusing to you because that's just how I trade. So my first trade was this push into the zone. It gapped down like 60 pips when the market opened. So that already happened. So now I think I deleted that first, but that already happened. So now depending on what happens tonight till the morning time, that will determine if I have a break and retest of this zone to go down here, because remember, divergence can keep diverging. When something breaks and resets, so for instance, let's take here. This broke and retested this trend line, but you see it made another drop before it pushed up. You see that?
Right. Yes.
So you want to have multiple confirmations when you're in consolidating areas, because this can very well happen here also. Does that make sense? So the
Yes.
way I'm teaching is to just make sure you have your additional confirmations before that just pushes out. Like, even I think somebody had asked this on a Zoom call not too long ago, where they said like, they had a break and retest, but price kept retesting that line. That's what I mean by divergence can keep diverging. So for instance, right here, this is another example of this. I'm gonna drop down to the 15 minutes so you can see what I'm saying. So you have this right here, this structure here. Do you see how literally price came here? This is technically a minor zone. I'm gonna teach I don't have this minor zone on here because it's a foundation level. If you see that dotted line in the background, but I'm gonna just draw this on here for teaching purposes so that you can kind of understand what I'm saying when I say you want the multiple confirmations first. So we have this minor zone. Technically, we broke and retested a trend line, right? We already broke and retested a trend line. Now we're going up higher and higher. Do you see this?
Yes, I see
So
it.
we went higher from this. So this point one, point two, you see this is going down, making lower lows. I mean, lower highs, and this is making higher highs. So that's divergence. So we retested again, retested higher, retested again, all in this zone. So before we pivoted down, does that make sense?
Yes.
So yes, this does look like this is retesting this, but you still want to have confirmation opposed to just hopping in, because this could easily, um, can I flip this? Let's see if I can flip this. This could easily keep retesting this before pushing up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think my trend line is the one that confuses me on this one, because I took it from like the middle, like 1 3 4 6 0 0. I took it from here, and then yeah, from here to that little dot. If you go straight, and it looks like smaller break and retest, and then a bigger break and retest. And with the news, like knowing that there is a war, so it's a bad thing for USA, it was like, oh yeah, that's gonna be, yes, exactly. And if you see right there, there's like break and retest, a small one, and that you can take advantage of, like you always say on the on the course. So
But do you understand that regardless if you have a break and retest right here, you still need the confirmation?
yeah,
So
I
for
get it. I got it.
so for instance, let's say you have that break and retest there. Once price starts to give you a formation pattern, so for instance, let me use an example. Like, let's say, um,
You
okay,
just you
use
just
this.
moved the
We could use
foundation level.
this
I
for
don't know
a
if you
buy.
saw it.
Oh, did I?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Good.
So let's use this for a buy, right? This buy is retesting this trend line from over here, right? But you see how like I have a zone break and retest, but I'm like literally looking for another break and retest, even the one that you verified. Because there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with this line. I mean, it's still in alignment with mine, but I still stand firm on when you have an area like this. Like, that is what I mean by you have to understand what's around you, no matter what, whether this is retesting or not, which it is retesting. That was my whole initial thing when I was saying on the call. Like, this is retesting.
Mm.
But what makes the difference between retesting, where you keep selling and price continues to retest, then retesting and shooting up? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I see what you're
That
saying.
minor structure is the important part that determines, like, okay, because again, this is literally structure in understanding what I mean by when I say take price step by step. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that to confuse you because obviously, like, all of this stuff is in the course. But I have to make you aware because this is your money. This is literally like between people who lose trades or win trades. You can see structure, but are you paying attention to everything to be able to confirm structure? So this could very well go up from here, but I need this area to give us some breaks from this current trend that is forming to confirm, okay, if this breaks and retests, then I would have it pushing here. And then at that point, I would be able to, like, I would put an alert on my thing and see, hey, is it aggressive or is it like hesitant here? And then if it's aggressive, then I know it's pushing to my negative 27 and possibly my trend line slash foundation level. But you have to just take it step by step because this is too volatile of an environment and too volatile of a market to not take it step by step. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
Now, also remember that whatever it goes to is going to come back. So if you have the equity in your account, you could just hold it. I mean, technically, but who wants to do that? Like, so is wisdom to take it step by step.
Yes, thank you so much.
Did that make sense to everybody? Yes.
I have a question on that,
Yes.
Jess.
Yes,
Okay.
it did.
Yes. Hi.
Yes.
Stacy,
Yeah,
how
it
can I help
did.
you?
Yeah.
Jess, are we going by hands or should we just kind of call out when we have a question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Janisha was first. Sorry, Stacy. Hold
Okay.
on. Let me run it
Okay.
back.
I'm sorry.
No, you good. You good.
Sorry.
We're calling order and structure to the call because I wasn't even paying attention to that. I just was talking. So hey.
I think my questions are simple.
Mhm,
One, I asked the last time we spoke, which is about divergence. And I
mhm.
don't know if I was clear because I don't remember the answer. But with divergence, um, does it matter if when you're on an uptrend, you draw divergence on the top or bottom
Yeah.
of price?
If you're on an uptrend looking for price to sell, then you draw it on the top. If you're on a downtrend and price is going into a buy, you draw it on the bottom.
Got it. Okay. That answers that question. And then the other question was about brokers. You know how you switch your brokers when you're marking up your charts? I've noticed that price looks different with different brokers. And it confuses me when I'm trying to compare and mark up my charts. And I'm wondering, do you notice that too? And is that something that I should not pay so much attention to, or if it's to be expected?
Mm, yeah, no, I don't notice it unless it's like a broker that doesn't really have currency, and then you would just see like streaks, but for the most part, they all look the same. Let's just run through some so we could see for
Okay.
comparison purposes. So this is GU. Let's go to IC markets. Same. I'm just looking at this cell right here so we can kind of see like comparison. So that's same. Um, ice, same. Like I'm not paying attention to my necessary. Yeah, it all looks the same to me.
It came up as an issue, both me and my husband were marking up our charts and he was making a play on gold and
Uh-huh.
really different on my chart versus his. And I
Mhm.
noticed he was using a different broker than I was using, and I wondered if that was the reason.
On your markups or on your actual execution?
Markups.
What broker was he using compared to yours? Because I honestly like when I'm actually trading, like my numbers will be off than the actual broker that I'm marking up on in regards to like the price point, but typically the structure is still the same.
Okay. I don't remember what broker that. Do you remember?
My goal is
What are you on? He's looking
Oh
at
my God, y'all so cute. I love
it.
that y'all do this together.
He's on commodities.
FX
No, no, no.
IDC.
FXIDC, and mine is Oanda.
And then y'all were trading to get like when y'all actually went into y'all's when y'all actually went into your or your execution, was it fine from there?
No, it was different. And another thing, like I trade on the 4 hour and the 30 minute, and he trades on the 1 hour and the 15 minutes. But I know you said we need to get away from like the actual time frames, but I wondered if that was one
Not get
option.
away from it. Not get away from it. Okay. No, no,
Okay.
no. I'm not saying get away from it because it's still valuable. It's just that I feel like when people are like on the calls, especially on Monday calls, and they're calling out structure and they're like, well, I was confused because this was in a 15 minute and this was a 1 hour and da, da, da. It's like I feel like people are getting away from the concept because they're so hung up on is this duh, 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 and it's like you're not understanding. I just need you to understand minor and major.
Mhm.
However, if you understand 4 hour, 1 hour, 15, 30, like that's fine. Keep that. That is a jewel. But it's just for people who are super like micromanagey in their like learning, it's like it's not gonna serve you to be super overly critical because those picture perfect people that like want the market to be picture perfect pretty, the market's not picture perfect pretty.
You're
Gotcha.
looking about me, Jess. Like you're hitting it right on the nose.
Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you so much, Jess.
No problem. Um, Malaysia was next.
Yeah. So I did have a question. My chart was looking very similar to you. I did miss that sell. I don't remember exactly how, but I did have some minor zones drawn up because I feel like in the past I used to try to take my trades too far. And I know that you said in consolidation, we should always try to focus on taking short positions. So I did have minor zones drawn up, but I see that you didn't have those. I see that you just took it from the high to the low, like those major zones.
No, no, no. I do have them. I do have them. Wait, wait, wait. Don't. No. I have them. That's the little baby zones that's through here. So these right here. You talking about this?
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I have it, but I just like on these calls, it's I already have a lot on here and I want people to be able to follow me clearly and understand in totality what I'm explaining. But it's still important. But what was your question?
So with that, right? Because I feel like I've seen you do this before. Is it because you're actually watching your charts that you decide, I'm just gonna take it to this lower zone rather than to the purple to the minor zones?
Well, no. Well, wait, you said is it because I'm watching my chart?
Like, are you actually, because I know sometimes like you'll say, like I'm actually paying attention to see how candles are forming to determine whether or not I want to get out at this zone or let it ride to the next zone.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, because I was like, am I missing out on like, because I'm still trying to be disciplined with just taking it to the next zone rather than thinking, oh, let me just try to see if it'll take it to that next, to the one after that.
No, so that's just okay. So for instance, right? Let's just look at this price right here. You see how when price broke this structure, this is clear as day gonna break a zone. Like these are big bearish bleeding candles. You see that? I'm gonna actually draw the zone back on here so you can see what I'm talking about. So here we have big bearish bleeding candles. So clear as day, this is going to break the zone. Here we have exhaustion. Do you see that? You see that? Like
Yes.
coming here. So when you like line your stuff up to like, and then you tie in, okay, this is a break and retest at this zone. So this zone on top of the exhaustion candles, on top of this being an area right here for this is clear as day. Like, okay, I'm pushing lower, especially when you have divergence forming on the higher time frame to know that there will be a lower point there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm just adding like this is so you know how we talk about the lower time frame divergence and the higher time frame. You see on the higher time frame we have a divergence, even though on the lower we had two lower time frame divergences and a higher time frame divergence. You see that? You
And
see?
yeah. And I actually do have a question about that area that you're in right now because I was very hesitant to take that buy right there. I saw that we had that higher time frame divergence and then it was retesting this trend line multiple times. It was also at a negative 27 if I'm not mistaken from
Mhm.
this, uh from this trend right here. So I'm
Mhm.
like I have all these confirmations and I did see an engulfing candle, but for some reason I still was like hesitant. I was trying to find another minor structure like a minor structure break and retest before I get in all the way. Especially because of what you said specifically today, based off where market is currently at. So like just zooming into that area right there, did you take a buy based off that minor break and retest that happened right there?
I was out of the market at this point right here. Yeah, my move came from here, and then I was pretty much done.
Okay, so you just mark those up just to mark those up.
I marked this up for the call for dang, where's my did I go over it? No, I didn't go over this. I don't know where my bars pattern is. I had a bars pattern for the trade that I actually took right here. This was for when I marked this up for the call tonight, because obviously before I hop on with y'all, I'm looking to see all of the things in the market that I'm looking at.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Okay, so yeah, there was like a minor.
Yeah, but here,
Yes.
this would have been what you're talking about right here, right?
Yeah, that's what I was more so looking for because all I saw was that you see that first, that bottom, that last candle, it gave like an engulfing candle. And I was like, I like this, but I was like, I feel like I need,
Wicked, you were scary.
I was, but I didn't see this minor break and recess because if I did, I would have hopped in for the buy.
Yeah, girl, because it's beautiful. You got four confirmations right here. You
Yeah.
have minor structure divergence, you have major structure divergence, you have a zone, and you have a break and retest.
And a negative 27.
Yeah, and a fib level. That's multiple. When we talk about like the textbook trades, that's the textbook.
Yeah, I let that one leave me.
But it's okay because it's always another opportunity in the market to be for money to be made.
True, true. Okay. There was one other question that I had. I actually have to look at my chart to compare to yours because I tried to do the thing that you told us within consolidation, with the red box, blue box, green box situation. And
Mhm.
I got tripped up. And it was literally based off of that minor structure zone. I don't know, like actually, can I share my chart really quickly so you can see it?
Mhm.
Um, there you go. I just sent the request.
Can you see it?
Um, I think so.
Or is it letting you share?
I'm trying. Let me see if it works this time. Oh, there we go. Okay, can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay, so you see I had it highlighted right here, but I didn't notice that break and retest right there. But I saw this with the for a quick little
No,
buy.
even the trend line, I'm sorry, I just want to, even that break and retest that you have on here, that was a beautiful one. Why you didn't take that? That was more confirmation than the one that I had anyway.
I missed that too. I'm trying to get my life together because I see all these things and I just miss them. Like even this right here, I was like,
You
okay, I missed
had wick exhaustion off of that one. That was beautiful.
it, right?
Yeah.
And I remember talking to you before about like I'm always trying to wait for the engulfing candle, but in doing that, I miss, getting a better entry, like trying to wait for that second candle to fully print. It's just like those things that I'm still tripping off of. But right here, you see, I took this trade from here to here. I didn't really have any other confirmations other than the fact that it was just, it looks to me that there was wick exhaustion from here. And just because it bounced off of this area before. So I kind of like took a chance with that, and obviously it did not go in the direction in which I hoped for. But I feel like I lost this trade just simply off the fact that you did tell us that it doesn't always happen, and I feel like I'm just not experienced enough for me to be taking trades that's like this, and I should just stick with the textbook trades because. I see you do this all the time, but then when I do it, it's like, no.
Oh, the reason that you shouldn't have done that was because you needed that to confirm a sell because you already have the break and retest and divergence to the left.
Right here.
Yeah. Like you
Okay.
have divergence to the left saying, hey, I'm about to sell. And then it broke and retest. So if anything, the blue box that you actually have is the valid one because you know price is pushing up to retest.
Hmm.
Do you understand that?
So because I had that confirmation of the sell, I should no longer be trying to use this area for buys, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Because you looking for sales. Does
Feel
that
like, yeah, but I feel like in my mind, I'm thinking like my bias is buys. So I was like, okay,
why? But no, why, what, wait, hold
basically
on, hold
structure.
on, hold on, hold on. Marquise on here? Fabian is on here? Fabian or Marquise? Anybody with my rules on here?
Yes, I
Yes.
have them.
All right, run them out. Let's say them out loud. Let's do a refresh.
What is major structure? What is minor structure? Is there a breaking structure?
All right, boom. Okay, you can do them all. You can do them all, but all I needed was them three right there. Come on, you can go ahead and run them out for the people that need to hear it in the back.
Okay.
All right.
What are your confluences? Do you have divergence? Are you at a negative 61.8? Do you have a trend line break and retest? Do you have a break and retest of a higher or low? Do you see bullish or bearish momentum? Do you see wick exhaustion? Where is it going? What is the fib level? Are you near any foundation levels?
All right. Um, whose chart is it? Malaysia, this your chart still, right? This was Malaysia's chart,
Yes.
right? All right. Drag that bit. Remember, we're okay. So drag that zero down to the top of that big structure right there. So this made hold on, let me get my annotation tool. All right. Yeah, no, no, keep it right there. So we have yes, right there. What is that?
A negative 61.8.
And we have a zone bounce and we have a break and a retest. The only buy is a minor structure buy where you already have that blue box. Because when price broke, you know price has to retest. So that is the only buy you're looking for. And even then, you would have to be like you. That is good that you see that because that's an experienced trade. Like that's like literally the moves within the moves. So you could have 100% executed that, but that's the only execution that you're looking for. At the point in which you have a retest, why are you looking for buys? What is minor structure? What is major structure? Is there breaker structure? So if I'm looking for this trend line that you are taking the this trend line that you are taking that buy off of, it'll be different if you like I wouldn't take one this small, but let's say you took a minor trend line break and retest off of here and then you sold and then you're like, okay, I'm looking for a buy off of this. Because that's so minor, then you can look for a minor buy. But based off of the trend line that you have on this move, this is more of a higher move to make. Do you understand me?
Mhm.
Does
Wouldn't
that
that be
make
counter
sense?
trend line too?
Does that make sense?
Yeah. There's story behind why we took that buy, whereas here there's really no story. So it doesn't make sense why I was looking to actually take it there.
Exactly. But also, negative 61.8, zone, two confirmations, retest, three confirmations. We were already looking for a sell, divergence, four confirmations. How many confirmations do you have right here? Nothing.
Just an engulfing candle in a zone. That's it.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at, so is what she actually did a break and retest of a zone as opposed to the break and retest of the trend line?
No. Well, I mean, if the blue one is a break and retest of that zone, um, but I don't really do, it's not of, see, I want to watch language because I don't want nobody to hold, like, I gotta be specific about language when we talk about this. So when you have, it's not a break and retest of a zone because a zone is a structure where price can go in and out as much as it wants to. You can't really break and retest a zone because you see how much price movement, like, look at this blue zone right here. Go from the high and low of this zone and tell me how many pips that is for me, Malaysia.
From the high
I
to
know where I put, can you see where I annotated? Yeah, that's a zone and it's 39 pips of movement inside of there. So we're not breaking and retesting zones. You have a test, break, and retest of support and resistance. So when you're looking at downtrends going into uptrends and uptrends going into downtrends based off of, again, this is really just a practice of structure too. Like for instance, I'm gonna use this area, right? This is resistance. This will be your green box. That's broken. This will be your red box. That's broken, retested as support, and then goes into a buy. This isn't a zone. This is literally just a test, break, and retest of structure. You see that?
Yes.
So you have a downtrend that has made lower lows and lower highs that shifts into an uptrend. So at the point in which price shifts, you have a last level of support that is broken and retest. I mean, you have a last level of resistance that's broken and retested as support. Does that make sense to everybody?
Does.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was just asking that not because I thought that that's what we were supposed to do. I was just asking for clarity because I thought that when you said what's the trend line, I'm looking at the trend line. You said it was supposed to break, push away, and then come back. And where it broke and pushed away, there is not a red box. That's what a red box should be. And then
Oh yeah, the red box will be right here, and then the blue box will be right here.
right. So I was just asking for clarity because it was a bit confusing for me. And I was wondering if what she was doing was breaking and retesting the zone as opposed to breaking and retesting the trend line.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
This would be that, and then this will be a blue box of right here. Break and retest, and then drop. Make sense?
definitely. Glad everyone learned from my lesson.
Thank you.
It's a good question. That was a good question. And you have very clean, nice markups. So you're on your way.
Appreciate
Just
it.
make sure you don't get caught up in your head. That's the main thing.
For sure. Especially
Don't stare at price because when you stare at price, you make things that aren't there, like that trade that you took.
Mhm.
Okay?
Thanks, Jess.
No problem. All right, next. Catherine.
Hi, Jess. How are you?
Hey,
I
how are
just
you?
have a quick question.
Uh-huh.
Because I know it's almost time to go.
Mm-hmm.
My hang up is on the Fibonacci tool. And the reason being is that once I add my higher time frame fib, my 1 hour, my concern is looking at the lower time frame. I know there's two choices on the fib. You can either extend the fib or add a new one. But regardless of which one you're doing, whether you're extending, if you don't reach 23.6 or you just add a new one, both require break of structure, right?
Um,
So
hold
I guess the question is, inside of a 1 hour, if I'm trying to play a lot of lower time frame fibs inside of 1 hour, I can just keep adding fibs until I reach my negative 61.8, right? Or just keep
yeah, yeah,
extending it if
yeah.
I'm not
That's
making
fine.
23.6. Okay,
Yeah.
that's I was so confused about that because I thought that, well, I knew that if you never reach negative 23.6, then keep extending until you do get a pullback to negative 23.6. But then I said, well, as long as I get a break of structure, I can just add a new one and look at the new price reversal zone and go from there. And so I didn't know
Yeah.
if no matter how many moves I play inside of that 1 hour, I can keep making new moves until I reach the higher time frame, negative 61.8, unless I run into divergence on the 1 hour and the trend is going to change anyway.
Yeah, girl, that's exactly what my charts look like. I got a whole bunch of fibs inside of the higher time frame one.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, looks like we get into all our questions today. So Stacy, you the last question. Hey.
Hi, Jessica. I think I'll ask my question next week because I think I kind of answered it, but I'm gonna wait to see how things play out and then I'll come back to you next week.
Are
It was
you
about the trade that you had done, the trade that you were going over earlier.
okay? Are you sure?
Yeah, yeah, because
Okay.
time is yeah, because we're about done. So I'll just wait till next week.
All right. Well, look, so let's just recap real quick. So based off of this week, I am expecting the dollar to gain some strength, but my only hang up about the dollar is that we are at that 23 point level, which means my continuations. So with that, I have my eyes open wide for any changes that may occur, but I've showed you guys my overall bias. Oops, that's my extra fib. I know it looks like it's all on top of each other, but hopefully you guys see the fib structures inside of the fib structures that I'm looking at. I'll put them on here real quick since we have a little bit more time. Or not a little bit more time, but since nobody has any more questions. So basically what I is just like your course, what is your structure? So we have point A to point B. I'm going to make that bold with a,
Jess, is it possible to go over gold, or is it too late?
it's too late. We gotta, because I need to do a full out analysis and all of the things. So here, 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 before, where's my higher time frame fib go? Did I delete my fib, y'all?
I thought you hit it.
I
I
thought
thought
you
I
hit
hid
it.
it too. I thought I hid that and I thought I hid my bars pattern. Did I delete my bars pattern? What? Oh, okay, so it's okay. We'll just draw it over. So we have, let's just use this one, point A to point B into here. So use, really you can use either of these points because they're pretty much the same. So let's use that structure here, here, here. Okay, everybody with me? All right. Um, and so I'm looking for that overall to this negative 27. However, that could potentially do this. So we need to see how price plays out in this zone for confirmation wise. Um, keep in mind all of these minor zones that's through here based off of consolidation that's in the middle of these. So um, when we talk about our what is it called? Consolidating areas on our higher time frame, go back to the DXY chart that I shared at the beginning of the screen or at the beginning of the call so you guys can make sense of that if you have any questions on it or just hopping on. And then my bars pattern, I basically got it from over here. It was, dang it, which one was it? I think it was, I don't even remember actually. I think it was here. All right, this might not be exact because I don't remember the one that I originally had. Oh no, that wasn't it. Hold on. Dang. Where did I get that bars from?
Oh no.
It was from where you have the divergence. Yeah, there. Isn't it there? Because you were like all of those 3 points and then you flipped it.
No, no, no. That wasn't the one that I flipped. I was looking for the
Oh.
overall one that I had before we hopped on the call.
Was it the one
Okay,
right before that, Jess?
girl, I don't know, but this is the gist of
That
it.
was close.
We can, yeah, this is close enough. So this could consolidate a little bit. Don't hang me up on all of the intricacies of the price movement that's on here. I'm just looking at price to push up to this -27 before dropping down to that higher time frame, -27. There are a lot of moves to be made inside of this. So be mindful because these are all short-term moves. Like you can literally reach your, depending on how price plays out tonight, like you're taking, remember, you're again taking these step by step. So even just looking at like the sell that's from here to here. Like remember all these moves are big moves in regards to structure. This move right here was 94 pips. That's a trade that could make your account. So you don't have to catch all these moves this week to be able to be profitable or be able to, you know what I'm saying, hit a home run. But I'm just putting that on there for awareness. Okay. The only thing again I need you to be mindful of is this DXY because I don't like how we only pushed back to my 23.6. Okay, that's the only hang up that I have on structure right now. All right. Okay, guys.
Okay.
Thank you so
Okay, thank
much.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.